So SmartMove, making smart financial moves together. What my asks today are, what advantages, value do you see in using SmartMove, as well as the inverses of that? Why would or wouldn't you use SmartMove? So kind of the inverse part. We're working on kind of some smart like tags or lines and things like that. So do you like making smart financial moves together, or stop spending dollars to save pennies better? Later in the thing, you'll kind of get the point of those. We're looking for about 100 to 200 beta testers to help us provide feedback and testing data. We're going to be testing our actual business plan. Would you or someone you know be interested in being a tester with us, or for us, I guess? And then kind of providing that very important feedback. So 60% of Americans can't cover an unexpected expense with savings. 75% of Americans have actually gone into debt to pay for a vacation. For example, if the average family of four's vacation to Disney World costs over $5,240. If you were to finance the trip with a credit card and pay it over 2 years, it'll cost you over $6,051. However, if you were able to save for the same trip over 2 years, your trip would only cost you $5,110 at current rates. If you're saving over $941 by saving, that leads us to this question of, well, why aren't we saving? Well, when we asked people why they weren't saving, the majority answered, I don't see the point in having a savings account that doesn't pay me any interest. And in fact, you'd be right. Average savings accounts offer 0.04% APY at your brick and mortar. Even high yield savings accounts offer 12.5 times that average with 0.5%. I saw 0.7 at Discover the other day. However, there's credit unions that offer 75 times the national average with better than 3% APY. In fact, our app just found in Florida, 2 credit unions, one paying 4% on balances up to $4,000, and then a starting account that starts at 5%. We go and pull this every week and look at all the best accounts and bring it directly into the app. With SmartMove's digital wallet, you can now connect all your existing accounts. So instead of you feeling like you have to start a new checking account or anything like that, you can add new accounts to the mix. You are able to keep your existing checking account, add a new savings account with a credit union, move money to your IRA and other brokerage accounts all in one system. Another reason that we typically hear that we don't save money is we just don't have any money to save. But every day we make smart spending decisions to save. We just haven't taken the step of making the savings permanent. With SmartMove, you can take that $10 you saved at the grocery store, and with just a few clicks, save $10 towards your dream vacation. And when you get the $70 prepaid debit card, you can move $70 from your checking account to your emergency fund in just a few clicks. Here's just a few screenshots of how easy it would be. A third common reason we hear that we aren't saving is because it's far off. Studies have shown that retirement and other far off savings goals are difficult for our brains to imagine. In fact, our brains have a difficult time understanding abstract concepts, such as what it will take to live the same way we are living today at retirement. That's why SmartMove allows you to customize your savings goals and add pictures that help you imagine what you're saving for, whether it's a dream vacation to Paris, France, or setting aside money to cover your insurance deductible. You're able to add, track, and make progress against the goals that are important to you. In fact, we want to make it so that you're able to show, as you make progress against those goals, you'll be able to share on our social platform. A third reason is talking about money is hard and unpleasant. About money, it's unpleasant to talk about money with our friends and family. In fact, parents responded to a national survey they'd rather have the talk with their children than talking about money. In a 2019 survey of over 2,500 US adults, more than half, 57%, admitted to purposefully avoiding money talk with their friends. SmartMove wants to make talking about money fun and rewarding. But when you But when you make talking about money anonymous and add ways for people to share money triumphs, people begin to share. Psychologists set up a study comprised of 5 brain imaging experiments and found using MRI that when subjects shared information about themselves, the same areas of the brain activated as those that light up when we eat food or have an awesome experience. Our brains love to share about ourselves. In addition, whether you're trying to quit smoking or exercise more, accountability is a key factor in behavior change. So we're trying to create a community that you'll be able to kind of have that, but stay anonymous. Everybody's like-minded on the app. Personal finance is a crowded field. There are solutions that round up your daily purchases to the nearest dollar, apps that calculate your net worth, budgeting solutions, other savings apps, investing apps, bloggers, Facebook groups, and Reddit threads. We all know the meme now. So then why do we believe that SmartMov is the better solution? First off, SmartMov is free. Our business plan is actually to offer people opportunities to get coupons and things like that from sponsors. We want to help you stop spending dollars to save pennies. Secondly, SmartMov allows you to keep your current banks, and with our wallet technology allows you to leverage new banks and new credit unions to get the best credit rates and bonuses possible. And finally, our social ecosystem allows you to share, search, and discover coupon codes that work, give, and receive encouragement from others. Share your financial journey and discover new ways to save, invest, and hustle to meet your savings objectives. Why do we think we're the team to tackle this problem? Well, I have over 15 years of experience in finance, accounting, and process improvement, while Austin has over 15 years in experience in software development and takes security to the utmost importance. So we're back to my ask screen. What advantages, value do you see in using SmartMov? Do you like making smart financial moves together, or stop spending dollars to save pennies better? Why would or wouldn't you use SmartMov? And we're looking for those testers to provide feedback and testing data. And we're just hoping that somebody here or someone, they might know someone that wants to help us test and make sure that our business model works before we get too far ahead of ourselves. You can contact us directly through our website at smartmove.co. That's not a misspell.com purchased, and we've been trying to buy it. And the person in Panama that owns it just isn't responding. You can email me, or you can email Austin. You can follow smart.move on Instagram, which is kind of our fun little account that we kind of share good financial insights. And then you can also find us at smartmove.finance at Facebook. Thank you so much for your time, guys and gals.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. This is very, very interesting. I love that you're taking the approach of basically helping people love money again. Get away from the fact we're raised to hate money, that we're shy about it, we don't understand it, and just trying to give a different perspective that you don't have to be scared of it, and you can put it to work for you and actually save your future. First question from Eric. When people share their accomplishments anonymously, what's to keep them from posting inappropriate messages?
So the good part is that we take security so important. So from the very beginning, you are who you are. So because you have to know your customer with the banking apps, you actually have to go through a thorough background check to make sure that account 1 is account 2. And before you can post, you actually have to prove you are who you are. So we're hoping, and then we're going to be looking and doing some algorithms in the background that, because technically SmartMove knows who you are, you're going to be a better actor, and you're not going to be able to hide, kind of like on the news feeds and the comments boards where people are just always just not being very nice to each other.
Got it. Vriska says, from a user experience point of view, she feels like your log out button and go button are really close to each other. You might want to take note and see how the beta testers react to that. So just a comment there.
Okay, thank you.
Can you explain your business model? I didn't quite get, like, how do you make money? Because the app is free. So are you getting paid from the banks and credit unions and financial institutions?
I briefly touched on it, but no, excellent question. So our revenue source is going to be advertising. So we have a news feed feature. And the second part of it is what we're really excited about is the gamification of savings. It's just not an MVP, but what it is kind of a Strava type or Fitbit type. So if you hit a certain savings goal, or if, for example, you always talk about coffee, giving up coffee. If you were to post about coffee and skipping your macro brew for 3 days over a 2-week period, and you use the emoji coffee, we're going to have a partner that it basically sponsors that challenge in which you'd opt in. And then what they would do is either give you a free monthly trial of coffee and or a $15 gift card or something of that nature. So for your good behavior, you're getting rewards and things like that. So hopefully, you're able to brew really great coffee at home instead of cruddy coffee at macro brew.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying. Sheila's asking, how is this different than Rakuten, Ibotta, Honey, etc., which are free apps to help save money?
So those are more of those just straight up coupon finders. This is more of a social aspect of it. So as you're posting about your savings, you're actually moving that money from one designated account to another. So if I were to pull up my screens, you would see that based on the goal that you've defined, you have actually defined to move from account A to account B. So based on the goals that you determine or choose, and then you post against. So if you skip an appetizer at dinner or skip that third beer while you're out with friends and family, or whatever the case might be, is that money will automatically move to that account. So it's just an added feature that you're able to find, the Moose Jaw coupon or something like that. But the real feature is the fact that you're moving money as you're posting about it.
Got it. And that goes with Eric's follow on about how it's different than apps like Mint and You Need a Budget. So you're saying there's extra features even beyond those apps, correct?
Correct. Yeah, you're actually moving the money. So Mint and You Need a Budget, you've actually kind of thrown yourself completely into the water, and you may sink or you might swim in those types of situations. So like a Mint is going to tell you your net worth, but it's not going to help you actually move money from A to B, but it's going to give you a good picture of things. And then some, even personal capital, for example, very similar to Mint, will actually show your transactions and show you month-to-month spending. But changing that habit of and getting into that mindset of saving or investing is what we're trying to do. And that's where the two thing that we kind of try to hit on is those rewards and making it fun and gamification. And then on the second side of it is trying to create community and groups there that are all like-minded, that can kind of, when you hit 50% on your goal to, Disney or whatever, people are cheering you on. And, or if you paid off, the credit card or something like that. So that's one of the things that we need to test, by the way, is we're actually expecting to be able to pay debt down. However, because in our testing environment, that's not a robust environment, we're going to be testing the heck out of that to hopefully be able to make sure that the third claim is invest, save, and pay down debt. So now you're able to do that. And then we're actually working on an algorithm. Once we prove that working, that will then help you maximize your wealth. So based on your debt or whatever. And if you have 0% interest or something of that nature, or really low, based on prevailing rates, you might actually be better off paying a minimum on, a student loan, whereas you're investing for a short term or something of that nature. So we're excited about that, but that's later since we're just MVP.
Got it. Hey, by the way, there's a good tagline or possible tagline: winning the game of wealth. Kind of incorporate all your aspects there, because money can be fun if you do it right. Any IP concerns here? being duplicated, someone coming in and copying you, anything like that? Or is this just a more of a branding play like that to just be first in this little niche, this space, and then maybe get acquired? Or, I mean, what are your thoughts on IP?
So there's so many of us right now actually out there. There is, okay, so like your save up, when you pay on your debit card and then it rounds up to your dollar, that's not new tech. And in fact, all the banks are beginning to do that. My credit union down the street offers that now. Savings by goals. There's actually one done by Fannie Mae, who does savings accounts, and you can have like up to 4 savings goals with Fannie Mae. They're paying 0.7%. So, and then there's actually a tech out of England that it surprisingly is doing a wallet tech like ours. They've found that, well, let's find the best rates instead of making folks sign up for another bank and go through all those hoops unless somebody really finds that rate. So the IP part of it, not so much. Hopefully we're making it so that it's fun and one of those things where you're wanting to come back and find out how user Nebraska is doing on their goals and things like that, and helping folks.
Got it. Yeah, that's a very good point. Susan's asking, is there a way to allocate funds towards goals like vacation, credit card debt, etc.?
Yes, so that actually is one of the key things, is as you're paying towards them, based on those little, so these smart little financial moves, you can change those goals throughout the day, hour, whatever. We allow you to automate your savings pays, as well as the one-time things, which we're kind of excited about. Of, if you brown bagged it for the day and you decide to save $8, and then you want to see how much you've saved by brown bagging, you can actually pull up that report and go, oh, that's cool. Does that answer that question, I think?
Yep, think so. So have you thought about collaborations? People upstream, downstream from what you're doing that you collaborate with? And as a second part to that question, what would be the number one introduction you would like at this point that you think would help your business? What or who?
Okay, so the collaboration, there's a lady actually down here near Longmont, Pennywise. She's a huge financial blogger. So money coaches and those types of folks we are really trying to work with, just because of the fact that they'll be able to sit down with somebody and just say, this is how you can kind of find out and get the math behind how, by just giving up, coffee for a little bit here, or for me, like I started cutting my own hair, or things of that nature, how those dollars really add up. And the bloggers really talk about, their story, and they have a robust community. And I actually talked to somebody else who exited this space, but they said that once there was one blogger that talked about them in a top 10, they blew up, and we're actually worried about that, just because we take security so important that we have upfront costs. So your second part of introductions, so getting introduced, or perhaps shared with folks that, we're a financial company and we're new and we're on social media, and the media or the marketing is coming directly from me. And so growing that trust is incredibly important. And so, having folks trust us instead of just going, and I just had this the other day, is I never click on an Instagram post or ad, because of the fact that any Yahoo can pull that out. And it's 100% true. So it's these one-on-one communications that personal finance really is important. You don't go to a financial advisor who you just find out of the silly pages. You actually kind of talk to friends and family and go, hey, who are you using? And they go, oh, I use Michael or whoever, right? So that's important. Does that, I hope that answers your question. If you put people in contact with me, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. So by the way, I've been cutting my own hair for years, and well, obviously it shows. So I apologize to everyone for that. But you say you're in the financial industry. I'm going to challenge you on something. I'm going to put my branding hat on for a second. And you're really not in the financial industry. Yeah, that's how you do what you do. To me, it sounds like you're more in the hope industry. You're giving people a chance to understand money and to do something good with it and to build wealth. I mean, there's a lot of, maybe you're in the happiness industry, maybe you're in the peace of mind, but I would make that front and bring that to the front of your message. The financial part is just your how, right? That's not what you do. You don't do finance. That's how you do what you do. But definitely talk more about the transformation because what you're doing is so important because there's so much misconceptions out there about money and people really don't know what to do. And because of that, they put their head in the sand and it never works out. So give yourself more credit and don't be shy about it.
I would add an echo to that, that people will give you money not for your features and benefits, but for the value that you're providing them. And value always, when it comes to finances, is simply peace of mind, saving you money so you can use it for other things or whatever. So that's what I would focus on for sure.
100%. So I'm going to send it to Mr. Eric Deckers for our final question.
All right. Thank you, Josh, and thank you, James. The question you've no doubt heard before, James, but it's what can we as a community do for you?
So I think a couple things, it kind of in the ask thing, but one is just, and actually, Josh, that selling peace of mind and getting that, I really need to make sure I zero in on that. I can't concentrate way too much on features. So already I'm like, oh, okay. I've touched on it, like, on the very top, but nothing to that point. But if you're able to put me in touch or send somebody, my email and just say, hey, talk to this guy, he'll talk your ear off and bore you to tears, or maybe hopefully entertain you with his crazy story of how he got out of debt or something of that nature. You mentioned earlier that, if each person just were to invite one person, and that's how we grow. And we're trying to bootstrap this thing. So if you just put me in touch, I'll pick up the phone anytime and talk through. And that's what I'm asking for, is just hopefully we can prove this business plan out that we don't have to charge a subscription. I hate the companies that are charging you $5 a month and they'll save you $6 so you net out $1. I just think that's irresponsible, but I understand how it works because it's automated. But we want to help people make awesome decisions and enjoy doing it, and then give cool stuff, like coupons and things like that for, giving up coffee. Come on, it's easy and it's fun.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next, we're going to be hearing not from Sarah, but from Rick Whitted, of CEO of US Hunger, based here in Orlando. So I will stop sharing. I just wanted to show off your logo, Rick. So stop sharing and you can share, and you got 6 minutes and then we'll take questions.
Sounds good. Let me pull up my screen here. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for allowing me to come. We are a nonprofit, so this should be interesting. But I am a 30-year business background guy, recently CEO for the past year, and have brought and continue to bring for-profit thinking to our mission. So I'm eagerly awaiting feedback from you all. And my biggest ask is we're looking for thinkers, thought leaders, particularly in the tech space, as you'll see in a moment, experience in licensing, those types of things. So I want to talk a little bit about our pandemic pivot story and how we've turned our feeding organization. We've shifted that focus from from feeding to understanding, and said differently, from food to actually data and technology. Can you see my screen still? Sorry, I'm getting used to Zoom. So
Yes.
you're looking at words that are really pillars for us. So we based our model on 2 pillars, dignity and discretion. And that's proven to provide a wealth of data and insight into hunger. Our application process is virtual for our applicants, so they share a lot of information. And in an effort just to understand our business, we pleasantly stumbled upon amazing insight into hunger that we have figured out from a data analytics perspective is a huge value and a big miss in both the market of corporate sponsors and those who fund philanthropic efforts, but more particularly to those who are trying to fight and address food insecurity. And we realized that for about a decade, we've been around for a decade, primarily bringing people together to pack food and ship that food off to multiple countries. We realized we were being a bit presumptive and that we focused heavily on getting food to people who are hungry, but we never took the time to ask the question, why are they hungry in the first place? And we believe the best way to fight hunger is to understand what's really driving food insecurity or root causes. You would think that that's prevalent, understood, and executed on in our industry. It is not. The focus is get the food out and feed them. And embarrassingly, honestly, for a decade, our organization did the same thing. And we touted 150 million meals, 53 countries, 800,000+ volunteers, but never asked the question, why are they hungry in the first place? And so we started collecting data. We started collecting stories and using the power of stories to solve. And so I'll just show you a sample of some of our questions or stories that we got that come in when they apply. We give them a free form verbatim text and we say, tell us what's going on. And they tell us, because it's discreet, it's virtual. And so as you'll see in a story here, it's really not about food. It's about housing and paying rent. Or in this story, it's not about food. It's about wages and hours cut and economic impact. Or this story, it's not about food. It's actually about healthcare access and medicines. Or instead of food, it's about transportation to get food. Or you may not think this was important. It's not about food, it's internet service. But think about the last year of trying to live without having internet access in a non-in-person virtual world. And so these stories we have put together, we have some 70,000 of those now, and we are applying machine learning and AI to those stories. And we're starting to use food to engage and understand. And that's very different for a nonprofit in the world that we're in. I'll give you a sample of what we're learning. So this is a 43,000 sample of the same data points. 68, almost 70% live in food deserts. That's places that the USDA has defined. There is no access to fresh food. There's a McDonald's, there's an ABC Liquor, there's a Family Dollar, but there's no Walmart, there's no Kroger, there's no Publix, there's no Aldi. Food desert. We don't market and we don't solicit our applicants. They find us, which says there's a big need for this service. 75% report chronic illnesses, a quarter have lack of internet access, lack of access to medical conditions, lack of access to computer, almost 40%, and access to the grocery store. So this has allowed us to really understand what's driving hunger. And there's a big myth buster out there, is that hunger is not about food. And the problem with the current food assistance model within our country is that the goal is food, and food is a symptom, it's not the sickness. And so we got the equation wrong. We thought hunger means they must not have food. And what we're learning is hunger is actually about access. It's about access to food, but more importantly, healthy food. I say that because While last year of more than 40,000 applicants, obesity was number 20 on our list of chronic illnesses. This year, in 21,000 applicants for this year, it's number 4. So it's not an issue of they're not eating. They're not eating the right things. They don't have access to the right things. So hunger is about access, but it's access to healthy food, not just food. It's access to transportation, which doesn't sound like a lot till you're a single mother. You got 3 kids, you got to get them in tow, get on a bus, go to the grocery store, figure out how to carry those and get back on the bus. So hunger is about access to transportation. It's about access to healthcare, to housing, to the financial system. More than a third of the folks we work with are actually check cashers, and they want financial literacy education. And it's about safe neighborhoods. And so those are the things that we're learning. And so how are we addressing this? There's a couple of ways we're addressing this, and you're just going to see a video play, but we're listening. We're listening to those stories. Listening just means data. We're learning. We're taking that data, and as you see here, we're applying geospatial mapping. We're applying AI. And what's so unique about our data set is that it's actually based on stories. And then we're responding very differently. So we actually provide a product. This is our full cart fresh box. It is packed at the farm. It is shipped directly to the front door of those in need. So as you can imagine, we don't get a lot of it, USDA grant funding. Why? Because it's a premium product, and that's about the low bidder. And what's important to us is that our product says you're worth it. And so what we have learned is that we're better together, and we should be providing to those in need dignity. And you can't really begin to help folks without first helping them understand that they have value. And that's really the currency we operate in. So that's our story. I'd love to hear from you all in the world of for-profit. Our revenue model is really clear. This same population also had Medicare and Medicaid, the government payer space, and we're presenting our produce box as a healthcare product to them, because food is actually medicine, and the correlation is 60+% food desert, 70+% have chronic illnesses in our data. And secondly, we are licensing out our service as a SaaS and talking to a lot of the nonprofits that don't have that, and the funders who are funding those nonprofits but get no impact data. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your feedback.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful presentation. And thank you for making the distinction between what we think is the superficial reason, what people need, and what they actually need, and listening to people. Because if you do that properly, as you found out, you will find out what people really need or what they want. And that's so, so important. So thank you for that. Eric's question, are you able to share data with other hunger-based nonprofits so they could build their own models?
We are. Well, it's interesting. It's the right question. Our ultimate goal is to share this data out. The question is, how do you do that without your mission going out of business? And so we think there's a good proposition of connecting with those funders, corporate, community, municipal funders that we work with already in our existing legacy nonprofit business, and saying, you're getting data from us. We literally give them mapping. We give them a breakdown by their markets of where the dots and clusters of people that we're feeding and sending those boxes to, and they love it. That's very unique. They don't normally get that. And so we're saying, these organizations that you fund the licensing of the software so that they can provide you that data. What is unique is that we give that data to them, so they own their data. So when they get impact reporting and mapping, it's their data. And organizations, nonprofits use that for fundraising. It's very important to be able to prove transparently how you're using those dollars. And so that's the approach we want to take with the technology. Quite naturally, can't give it away, because then the mission goes out of business pretty fast, and no business, no mission at the end of the day. But we think that funders will fund others to license this software and allow them to do the good and get the impact reporting they want. Hope that
Yeah,
answers.
I definitely see you as the engine, right? You could be the engine, and that engine can be licensed into multiple vehicles.
Yeah.
So it's just knowing your place, because that's one of your expertise is the data analysis and the parsing of the data.
Yeah.
Talk with, make sure you connect with Denny Career, who's part of Rotary. He's got some comments there. I'm not sure what he's trying to say, but I think you should talk with him. And Mark is saying, nice presentation. Seems the ultimate goal is programs that solve the root causes and get people off of your program. How are you going to, or how are you going about accomplishing that? How many households are you serving now? How much funding do you get a year? And at what rate are you growing?
Great question. So since the pandemic, we have shipped boxes of food to more than 100,000 homes across the country. And I'll tell you, about 20,000 of those are in the Florida area. It's our backyard. It is our biggest market. We rebranded back at the start of the year. So you may actually know us as Feeding Children Everywhere. And we bring in groups of folks, we pack food. We rebranded when this work really evolved into what it is today. We still do the meal packs. We woke up at the end of February and 90% of our revenue during the pandemic was gone, because you can't bring hundreds and thousands of people together to pack meals. And so I would love to tell you we're brilliant. I'm a mastermind. I was running for my life, and we had 7 systems that don't talk to each other. So this was a technical step to build an enterprise system so I can know what the heck's going on, because I come from the corporate business world of making data-driven decisions. Our business is hunger. So when we did that, we got what you saw here. We began to see insight that we were just dealing with surface issues. So we are still coming back from 90% of our revenue being gone. We're probably at a third mass right now. And this, we have done a lot of work since last year. The good news is we had decent cash position coming in. We've had some of our sponsors help us along the way. But the truth is, we needed a contract-based revenue model. And having the ability to deliver fresh produce, it's cold, it's insulated, there's leafy greens, fruits, and vegetables in, and we guarantee that in 3 days. It's an expensive box. It's what you and I can afford, but these families can't. And we deliver it to their front door. The health plans love that. Healthcare providers love that. So we're looking at that as a contract-based revenue model. There's a good premium on it, so it allows us to continue to fund our virtual food bank as well. So that's where we're going from a growth perspective. Think of us, although we're a 10-year organization, particularly this arm, we're startup. And we're about in month 15 of that startup in the middle of a pandemic with 90% of our revenue gone. So this is the year that we're hoping, toward the end of the year particularly, to land a couple of solid contracts with what is called the government payer space, which is Medicare, Medicaid. It's the same people that are reaching out to us today, and they can't build a relationship with them. So we're more of an engagement tool for them with a strong food product, and that's how we're pitching it.
Awesome. And I love your redefining of hunger as lack of access. So a hunger for transportation. People have a hunger for internet access, a hunger for all these things, not just food.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Eric wants to know, have you tried teaming up with other nonprofits that solve the other issues like financial literacy, transportation, internet access, these other things that people are hungry for?
I love, that's such a confirmation, Eric. Yes, we're going down that path. What we're realizing is data is data is data is data. And our story is when it's not about hunger. So for example, we're talking to an addiction recovery network, a nationwide network, and they have mapping of where they have their sites. So how do we integrate that data? So our mapping technology begins to really paint a picture of the neighborhoods. We're talking to housing organizations as well. One of the reasons, Eric, that I want to get out of the just being grant funded, one, it's not sustainable as a business. But more importantly, what I am learning, I mean, I came from 30 years of business thinking the nonprofit world, we're going to flick our lighters, hug, and sing Kumbaya. It's no different than the business world. A big reason for that is they're all going for the same grants. So I'm trying to pull out of that world, because unlike many nonprofits, we actually do have a serviceable product. And we have a market, the government payer space, that's a premium payer. The more I can pull out of the need to compete with housing or anybody else for a grant, the more our ability to collaborate and share. Collaboration is not good on the nonprofit side. I'm very, very disheartened to learn that, you know, a year and a half in now. But hopefully our direction here helps pull them back in. It's not easy, but that we are working with other organizations because they can't collect and capture data just in time the way we do.
Perfect. Nima and Rupert both have connections for you. What's the best way to reach you?
Rick at ushunger.org. Real simple. Rick, RICK at ushunger.org. And I'd love to talk to you.
And Scott wants to know, how does your delivery method address issues such as freshness and security of the boxes to people, places where recipients might not be able to receive them in a timely manner?
Yeah, so we've solved that by our primary nationwide carrier is FedEx, and we do that for a couple of reasons. It's pricey, and we've knocked them down. We deliver a lot of boxes, so we have a good price. It's still working toward a third of our costs, and it's a part of the premium in that product itself. But what that does is they're the best carrier out there. And their system is transparent and it's integrated into our system. So I know where a box is at any time. I know when it's delivered, and our clients, they receive an email and a text alert if they have that option. Many don't have internet, but they all have a smartphone. So they receive a text alert, they get their FedEx tracking number. So we're really, really aware of where those boxes are at all times. The farm collaboration we work with, that group has figured out how to insulate that box and keep it cold. So the produce is actually delivered cold and it's fresh, and we guarantee that for 3 days. So we have transparency to it, and we're working with vendors, farmers who pack it at the farm in cold storage, put it on a cold truck, send it to FedEx. And our 3 days doesn't start until it's out of 34 degrees or less. And so we've had a good track record of that so far.
Wesley says he's noticed some of the story shares seem to be from single moms doing their best to stretch time and resources out to the max. Just curious if you've seen any correlation between fathers in the home and hunger, and if so, if there's been any partnerships to help address that.
It's a good question. We pulled a sample of stories. We have more than 70,000 stories. And some of the answers that you're looking for there, honestly, we're a small nonprofit. I've got 2 client experience people, and it just begs AI and machine learning. The good news is one of our very large corporate sponsors have come in and they've given us an entire team that's tweaking the knobs on our machine learning over the next 6 to 8 months. And so a part of that answer is we have taken a team of 5 or 6 of our SMEs, our subject matter experts who deal with this every day, and figured out how to score these stories. Then it's about refining and constantly teaching and reteaching our system algorithms that applies machine learning to that. So our ultimate goal, it's a great question. Our ultimate goal is to really have what's called a social determinants of health score. Fancy word for saying socioeconomic effects of poverty. Food is one of them, healthcare access, environment, education, financial literacy, etc. So hopefully that answered the question. Machine learning solves that for us because we can't keep up with the demand.
Makes sense. Okay, I think we're running out of time here, so I'm going to send it over to Eric for our final question.
All right, thank you. And I already emailed you to see about getting coffee there in Longwood.
Sounds good.
So if you know 2 Bells, which used to be Zanzibar, we'll go there.
Yep. We know it. Yeah.
Okay. So the question is, what can we as a community do for you? And we've got a lot of people who are already offering to make connections, but what else can we do?
Well, honestly, we do need thought leaders. This was not that we're brilliant. In desperation, we stumbled upon some great things and are constantly figuring out how to make it work. And as a nonprofit, as you saw on our last symbol there, our slogan is "We're just better together." So I am constantly looking for advisors who have a knowledge base, whether it's in food, whether it's in licensing, whether it's in supply chain. We're constantly looking for advisors from that perspective. We're also looking for ambassadors. If our mission means if it resonates, if you're going, dang it, that's good stuff. How can I help and how can I share that? We'd love to work with you, and just introductions to what we do to people who are smart enough or are endowed enough financially to help impact this organization, or just connected enough to get us to the right places, to bring in the right folks to collaborate with in any way. That's what we're looking for. That's broad, but literally we are looking for ambassadors and advisors.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.